Welcome to my mid-year goals check-in for 2024. This video might be surprising since I didn't share any of the goals that I set for 2024 with you before. So this will be your first time seeing them if you are up to date on my channel. I think it's crazy that we are 6 months into the year. It is July 1st that I'm filming this video. Can't believe 6 months of the year have gone by. But at the same time, it feels like I can't believe it's only been 6 months. You know what I mean? Just insane. I am going to divide this video up into 3 sections. The first one is a reflection on the year so far, what goals I have achieved, and what's been happening. Phase 2, which is reviewing. That's looking at the goals list and seeing what goals are we not on track to achieve this year. And maybe there's some goals that I haven't yet made action towards, but I have thought of a way to begin that work, or maybe I've made some changes to ensure that goal does happen later in the year. And then finally, we're going to review the goals list to see, are there any goals that maybe don't align with me anymore? Or are there potentially goals that I want to add to this list for the remainder of the year? Because I've been having a very exciting year so far in terms of ideas, and it's whether or not I decide to take action towards those this year, or I try and give myself this slightly slower year. Who knows? So this kind of review process is so important to do as often as you can, looking back on the last couple of months or the last month even. But I think at this point, when we're midway through the year, is such a good time to take a look at what's been happening and what is going to happen for the remainder of the year. I'm going to be reviewing the goals that I set myself for 2024. I've been very gentle with myself with goal setting this year because it's been a huge transition year from me being an academic into being an entrepreneur full-time. And even saying that is still a challenge for me. So I've been very gentle about goal setting. I have a large number of goals that I set for the business that I run, which is a theatre school for children and teenagers. So I set different goals for that, and I broke them down into different quarters. For my more personal or my brand goals or different things like that, I more so set habits, the way that I want my life to look. And I think that's really important when we're thinking about goal setting. Sometimes we can be trying to reach a certain metric with our goals, whereas a large portion of the time it's about a lifestyle change. That's what we're actually wanting for ourselves, and it's hard to identify that. This is something that I've really been thinking about recently, and I will be doing an upcoming video about how to set goals based on your personal values, because that's something that I've been finding really useful for my own goal setting this year. If you haven't set any goals for this year, that is totally cool. Again, I've been very gentle with goal setting. I'm not necessarily sure that we always need to be working towards goals. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure one of the happiness chemicals gets released when we set ourselves goals and achieve them. The theme for this year, I've decided, is no. And that is basically learning to say no to things, learning to give up certain obligations, which I have been slowly getting better at, but it's been definitely a difficult time. And I also think it's a year of cutting things, saying goodbye to maybe relationships that no longer serve me, saying goodbye to practices that no longer serve me, and just reducing different things that I think maybe in the past have been contributing to levels of unhappiness beyond belief. So that's the theme of this year that you might see feeding into the different goals that I've had and in terms of some of the actions that I've taken this year. First things first, let's grab where you have your goals stored. I wrote my goals as part of one of my just daily journaling. I really was thinking about what I wanted this year to look like and what I want my future to look like when I was setting these goals. And I think for the most part, we'll find that these are still pretty relevant. And then I just put them in my Notion app so that I have somewhere to have them on hand as much as possible. I don't look at these very often, but what's been interesting about this is that I think because I've really set my goals based on my values, A lot of these have just happened because I have been working toward living a life more in line with my values. And even though I haven't really been trying too hard to make these goals happen, they have just happened. And the ones that haven't happened, we'll see about those. I have some general goals for the business, and then I've divided them up into quarters as well. A couple of these you will have already seen from various videos in the past where I've been setting goals. The ones that have happened so far, if we think about quarter to quarter, I wanted to do a theatre trip, and that did happen. We had our big competitions that were done. We had an Irish showcase. I wanted to clear the office and set up the office. Now, that didn't happen in quarter one, but it did happen. So I'm counting that as a win. Slash, it is in the very final stages of happening. So either way, I'm counting that as yes, because by the end of this week, it will be done. And then we ran an Easter course. So that was what we wanted to work on. In quarter two, I got my summer course setup done. We had our exams, we had some competitions and final showcases. So all of those things happened. These things, except for the office being cleared, were all like essentials for the business, as in the minimum requirements of what needed to be done. And I've gotten pretty much all of those done. And if I look towards this current quarter, which is the summer stage, I've got my setup for my summer courses done. I have put in the groundwork for a staff training week, which is also an abroad trip for the staff. And then the rest of the work around setting up for our autumn term has been happening before I've been going to London. But again, these are all essential things. And I think I'm hard on myself in terms of getting things done for the business, because I'm like, yes, I got all that stuff done because it had to happen. But at the same time, I know that's not fair, because other people in my position wouldn't maybe be able to deliver what I've been able to deliver. And I know myself in my position years ago wouldn't have been able to do this. And it's something that I've been working on and learning every year. I still find it hard to acknowledge the work that I've done and being able to get all of this work done. And I think I then look at all of the other side of things that maybe haven't gone as well when I'm judging the business. I think I always focus on the negatives and not on the positives. And that is unfortunate. What else has been happening in the business? I think being more present, and by that actually physically being on site for more classes this year, I have a much stronger awareness of what's going on in the business and what needs to change going forward. So I made this big plan to overhaul our academic year. And when it comes to making the plans for this autumn term, I've changed our dates. I've reorganized the different events that happen in the year. I've gotten a new payment system. We've got a new booking system. We've got a new website. We've got a new brand. All these changes are happening. So that's come from me looking at the business, seeing what we can do better and making a plan to improve it, and then actually implementing it. It's been good because I've been able to talk to some parents about this change in advance to get some early feedback from people who have been around for a good couple of years, and I'm hoping that it will be well received, but it is a scary transition to make. We've been rebranding the business recently. I've also been getting my ducks in a line over the last couple weeks, getting ready for my trip abroad, which is getting sorted with HR and IT and all of these kind of outsourced people who can help me feel more comfortable that we're doing things correctly, because definitely a lot of the anxiety that I have in the business comes from thinking that there's a possibility we're not doing something right and not knowing the answer myself. I've also hired 2 new staff members who are going to be taking over some of the admin workload from me. And that in itself was a huge amount of work. Like, people don't tell you how much work it is to try and give away your work. Like, delegating at first is really challenging because sometimes it's easier to just do things yourself, but it's not effective. And I know, because I've had a couple of trial runs this year with giving away admin to people, it makes a huge difference, but it can just take a lot of setup to get to that point. The process of hiring and putting out a job posting and interviewing candidates and getting contracts together and now what will be training staff is also a huge undertaking. And I think that's more or less what's been going on in the business. In terms of personally, I think I've been on a bit of a journey with my mental health over the past several years, but now that I have more free time, it's come to a big head. Yeah. And I think I'm handling it pretty well. It's been a huge change with the PhD and with the more free time and understanding how my mind works. I'm not quite in the position to share what's been going on yet, but I think for me, it's been a big, important thing that I've been working on the last couple months at least. I've also been really in tune with myself as a creative person, and I've been working a lot on my creativity in the last couple of months, and I'm hoping that I will manage to get a video out talking about this. But this has been, again, part of the identity shift that's been happening over the last couple of months, moving myself from an academic into a creative and into an entrepreneur. And I think it's a hard change to see yourself differently when you've been viewing yourself one way for so long. A huge thing, I think I've mentioned this a couple of times, but a consistent morning routine was something that I wanted for myself this year. And I just recently passed through 6 months of consistent morning routines, especially in terms of journaling. And at the point now, I'm looking back through my journal and getting some of the ideas that I had when I was writing them and tracking them. And I'm really just proud of the work that I did over those 6 months. I created a lot of stuff in that journal, and I'm really excited to see some of these ideas start to come to fruition now that I'm coming to the 6-month point of the year and starting to think about the rest of the year and the rest of my life and what I want to do with it. As I said, I think this is a year of deciding what I want my life to look like. And one of those things with the morning routine, that is for me a dream morning routine. And to be able to do that every day is a significant blessing. I also wanted to keep up things that I consider part of my ideal lifestyle, which is remaining active. And I think I've been pretty good with that. Going on kind of extended yoga retreats, which might just be up to a 3-hour class once a quarter, doing a weekly meal prep, or at least prepping lunches and dinners every couple of days so that I can make sure that I do maintain a good level of nourishment. Connecting with friends, I feel like I've done that a bit more this year, and then traveling locally. So those are all things that I've worked on. Also part of personal, I wanted to reduce my time on social media and reduce time watching TV. And I think if I could put that under an umbrella, it would be to reduce the amount of time that I spent distracted. And that took me a couple of months to get to, because in the first month or two of the year, I was still really stressed, really struggling. And I filled the distraction of like TV with audiobooks. And now I'm at the point where I think I've reduced my distractions a lot, but I also am more aware when I decide, yeah, do you know what? I actually really need a distraction and I'm going to sit down and watch some TV. So this year I've been watching TV slowly. I've been watching Lost pretty much episode by episode, mostly just around the season finales. I'll watch a couple of episodes together. Or if I'm having a really tough day where I need to feel distracted, then I will watch more. But my general rule that I'm really trying to stick to is doing one thing at a time. So if I'm watching TV, that's what I'm doing. I'm not also on my laptop or on my phone. I'm sitting down and I'm watching TV. In my finances then, I wanted to cut back on random or unplanned spending, and I think I have done that. I've also had less income this year, which has been helpful for being more aware of my income. Less Amazon purchases, definitely. I don't think I've bought anything personally on Amazon this year. I cut back on my subscriptions this year, and I have been operating somewhat of a value-based spending. I also think I've been fitting that in with the kind of 50-30-20 budgeting. So that's pretty good. The other kind of area of life that I've been thinking about as well is just in terms of physical environment around the home. I've really cut back on working from home and setting stronger boundaries around that in this home. And then sticking to a cleaning schedule or tidying up as part of my morning routine. I still fall out of this from time to time. I still struggle to clean the bathrooms, but I think I've been better at not letting things build up to the point where they give me severe anxiety, but that I have the time to do these things, and trying to ensure that I always have that time so that I'm not thinking, when am I going to get this done? That's been really important as well. And then the other kind of area that I was setting goals for this year was in my brand, which is all of this kind of YouTube work. I have been going through a process of understanding myself more as a creative, and I have been feeling a lot more creative with my content. I think the mistake that I made recently and falling off the kind of wagon of social media posting was putting pressure on myself to get stuff done on certain days and putting pressure on myself to get stuff done while I was on holidays. I just don't think that makes sense for me right now in this brand, because when I'm just creating the videos that I want to create and trying to have fun with them and editing them and putting them up when I want to, I just enjoy it more. I think the videos come out better. And yeah, like, I had a really good run for a couple of weeks with posting content, and I was so pleased with myself. And now I'm feeling like shit for not posting and feeling like I don't know how to get back into this again. And I have a video that's been ready to be uploaded for the last 2 weeks that I haven't posted because I'm just getting in my head about it. And I need to just let that go and just get back to posting, because I think it's a creative process and I'm hoping that people are along with me for that. Anything else that's been happening that I want to mention very briefly as part of this reflection, because I've already been talking for 20 plus minutes. I graduated, and I also had my first holiday in the last 5 years where I didn't do any work. Intense. And I was in a show, and I went to a couple of weddings. Did I? I went to one wedding? No, 2 weddings. I think that's the kind of major stuff. Okay, we're moving on to phase 2 of this process, which is to review the goals that we haven't made progress towards and why. In the business, just looking across the different terms, as I mentioned, I've gotten the things that have to get done, and I'm making progress towards bigger picture things. I got the funding approved from our trust, and we're starting to be able to work towards having better things in place. But the stuff that haven't really happened would be our social media. I wanted to be more consistent with that, and that has not happened. That is not going to happen. Same thing for promoting the business and for applying for funding and improving communication with our customers and working on our agency. Those 5 things I've learned are not going to happen just from me alone. It's important to think about these things. In this process, we're either deciding, are we going to keep these goals? Are we going to lose these goals? These goals are still important, so we're definitely going to keep them. But I know that I can't just hope for the best for the next 6 months that I'll find the time to get this work done. That's not going to happen. So what I did was I decided to hire people to help with this. I've hired one person who's going to be a general administrator for the kind of academic year. And that's going to, I hope, improve our communication with parents. It's also going to free me up to be more physically available to be at classes where I can then talk to parents. And we've also been discussing within the business ways that we can deliver feedback to parents more effectively, and also maybe have parent-teacher meetings and things like that. So that's on the cards, but also with the addition of new staff. The other projects around our agency, our social media, funding, and promoting the business, I'm just not going to do them. I've hired a kind of project manager, essentially, and a brand development manager who's going to help with those types of projects, because I don't really have the expertise for them, and they do. I have ideas for how I want to get things done, but I definitely struggle sometimes with these types of projects to actually get things done. And oftentimes I'm getting swept up in the day-to-day operations management stuff, and that leaves me not able to work on the development stuff, which they're going to be able to work on. In terms of other goals, in my brand, that's a huge area where I haven't made any progress, I would say, in terms of what I wanted to do. I wanted to be filming weekly vlogs. I posted a lot of weekly vlogs actually, and I did film a lot of content. So let's not say I haven't done this. I would like to do it more though, I think. I was saying I wanted to weekly planning and productivity videos and occasionally research videos. And I think going forward, that's a kind of process that makes sense. A bit of vlog, a bit of productivity, a bit of research. But research, I think, slowly being phased out more and more from this channel. I wanted to be consistent on Instagram 5 times per week posting, and on YouTube 2 times per week posting. Definitely not so far, and will it be that way going forward? I would like to be consistent on YouTube and have 2 videos a week, but I'm not going to put that pressure on myself. Instagram is a tough one. I'm not sure that I still care that much about it. I like it for being able to provide more like immediate information. So I'd like to be able to be more consistent on stories, but I'm not sure in terms of actual posts what I want to do with my Instagram. I have goals then around generating new templates and a physical planner, and I haven't made that much progress on these. Again, I think I put a lot of pressure on myself to update my Notion template and have that ready for this video. And it's not ready, and I'm not going to rush it because I want it to be something that can be really useful for people. And the only way that's going to happen is if I'm figuring it out as I'm going through my own processes, seeing what's useful for me, I think, and then, yeah, passing that along. So what's the kind of review there? I guess I'm probably going to ditch a lot of the kind of consistency stuff, and I think the goals around the products that I want to develop can be more someday maybe. I'm not going to put pressure on myself to get these done this year because that's not really the most important thing. Even though I have the ideas for them, I don't necessarily have the bandwidth to work on them. In terms of my other kind of personal goals, I still haven't learned how to drive, and I'm trying to make progress towards this. I have some time over the next couple of weeks, and I had reached out to my driving instructor, but we didn't set a specific time. So I'm hoping I can get a few more lessons done over the next couple of weeks. I want to apply for a mortgage this year. This has been severely delayed because I have not gotten my official salary from my business that I run yet. And that means that I am always 6 months behind the eventual date that I can apply for a mortgage. Now, given that it's July 1st, it won't be happening this year. I also have a goal to spend more time with my dog Lola, and we still haven't gotten there yet. Even in my weeks off, I still haven't been able to spend much time with her because I've either been in the office doing admin, having admin assistants in, and now these next couple of weeks it'll be training in people as well, and it makes me really sad. I'm now going to be away for 6 weeks after the next 2 weeks. So that's 8 more weeks where we don't get to spend much time together, and I'm finding it really tough not have her in my life in a big way at the moment, because for a long time we spent a lot of time together and now we don't, and it makes me sad. So that's partly why the applying for a mortgage thing is important to me, because I want to have a home where she's able to be, and she's not really meant to be in my house that I rent here, so I can't have her over. But I have got a plan for spending more time with her from September. Even though we won't be in a new space, I have time to be more at my family home. Finally, moving on to the review process, which has already happened because I've mentioned a little bit about things that won't be happening, which is mainly just that in regards to my brand, I'm not going to be putting pressure on myself to get these goals done. I'm not going to apply for a mortgage this year because I won't have the financial background check in place to do that, but it'll hopefully be very early 2025. But other than that, I'm on track to meet all of my goals, which I think will be the first time that I've ever really been this way. And I think that's partly because I don't think I set anything too crazy this year apart from the brand goals. Those are the only ones that I think are pushing the envelope to a degree. Are there any other goals that I have for this year? I have been ruminating on a new business idea, a few new business ideas, but one in particular for the past 3 months. And I think I would like to do phase 1 of this in the autumn time. Phase 1 is low commitment, but the idea being that then for 2025 I'll be working on phase 2, which is a slightly bigger commitment. And I'm very excited about this. I think I really want to take you along the process of starting this new business, because the business that I run at the moment, like, I didn't start it. I find it hard to share sometimes the things about what's going on. Also just the type of business that it is. Whereas this one, it would be more of an arts-based, community-driven business. And even with this brand that you're currently watching from, I think it's a different experience because I don't have anyone relying on me with this. Like, it's literally me and you right now making this video, and nobody else is involved in the brand. I think as far as I would go is if I did start selling more products, I would maybe hire a virtual assistant to just manage the customer communication if that was something that was necessary, because I sure as shit don't want to do that. And yeah, I think it's just a different thing. Like, I can set goals for this and I can work with brands potentially, I can make digital products and whatnot, but having a digital business, we'll say, versus having a physical business, very different. I would love to take you along the process of opening that company, but we'll see. That would really be the only goal I think that I would want to add to my list. And it's an entirely new area of life that would be added in because it's completely new. So it very much ties in with my values though. It's likely that it will be something I do work on. That's it for this video. I hope you find it helpful. If you are doing a mid-year goals review, let me know how it went. If it didn't go very well, I would like you to bear in mind, typically I probably reached only about 50% of my goals. And I think that's partly from just setting too high expectations, things happening in life that get in the way of certain things. And that can just come down to, again, when you're not setting goals in line with your values, other things will come in that can disrupt one another and you don't end up getting where you need to go. But now that I have been more so value-based goal setting, my goals just tend to happen somewhat on their own, just from being more aware of my values and trying to live a life in line with them. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. And I will also keep up on the screen somewhere some suggestion for your next watch.